Welcome to our channel, where we bring you the most amazing stories from around the world. In this video, we bring you the story of Lion asks photographer for help. He was surprised to find out why. George couldn't believe what he was witnessing when he saw the lion off in the distance. It had a pretty OD appearance. Its belly was totally enlarged. George immediately dialed the local veterinarian, but he had no idea what she had seen. She had never seen anything like this before. She performed an ultrasound and immediately dialed 911. The cops told the vet that once she contacted, they would come directly over to her location. For this lion's unique needs, more than just a veterinarian was needed. This lion needed surgery, since there was plainly something unusual going on in its stomach. When the cops finally arrived, they helped the veterinarian sedate the big lion, which was by this point almost finished. But the police did more than just help the vet. They also went to see the ranger. "Sir, you must come with us. It's essential." George was in a state of shock. What was ailing him? Regarding himself and the lion, who undoubtedly astonished him, George responded to questions. He has years of expertise working as a ranger to safeguard wildlife. After all of his questions had been answered, he heard shock emanating from the operation room. "This is unbelievable," the vet exclaimed. For George and the other rangers, it has been a tedious and difficult task to keep every animal safe. Due to a lack of labor and the persistent threat of the savannah, the combination has proven to be quite challenging for all parties involved. The employer of the rangers is putting more and more demands on them, but they are unable to cope. Many foreigners have observed this and benefited from it, which raises the hazard of everything. What George saw terrified him so much that he even recoiled a little. He wasn't sure how the lion would react, so he was initially cautious to approach it. George felt compelled to act on the animal's behalf right away because it was obvious that something was seriously wrong. George was aware that he had never seen a lion so large. It was the alpha male of the local lion pack, but the lion did not look like himself. His belly had entirely expanded. It seemed that George was required for support. George approached the lion by moving. Although he was a little afraid, his love for animals was much greater. He had to figure out what was happening because he couldn't just let the lion run off. As more angers came, George started to approach the lion cautiously. The lions are proud animals, and he wasn't sure how they would react to George. Then it swung around to face George. George experienced a brief moment of heartbreak. "Get back," screamed the other rangers. They cautioned George that the lion might act aggressively because he is trying to defend himself in this circumstance. Therefore, the rangers came up with an alternative solution. The veterinarian warns that if the rangers remain in the lion's immediate vicinity, he will undoubtedly attack them. Before threatening the lion, he ordered the rangers to take one action, medicate it, so they could examine it more closely. In order for the vet to approach safely, George and the rangers made sure the area was secured. George decided to tranquilize the lion by himself. He had discovered it so he would ensure that everything went as smoothly as possible. The rangers were lucky in that the lion was tranquilized very quickly and didn't appear to resist them. The lion may have truly wanted assistance because it offered no indication of resistance or intent to harm the rangers. The rangers could now clearly see where the lion's body bulge was located in order to inform the vet, who was still absent of their discovery. George called. When the vets hear where the bulge is, their tone immediately changes. The bulge was situated at the beginning of the stomach, a very specific location within the body, indicating that it is most likely unable to enter the lion's body. The lion has undoubtedly ingested something it shouldn't have, and if it wants to live, it will likely need surgery right away. Time was of the essence, but the rangers were clueless as to what to do. They consequently asked the veterinarian for advice. The time it took for the vet to arrive at the site was a problem for the rangers as well. Their anxiety came to pass. The lion's sedative had worn off, and he had no desire to remain where he was. It was attempting to move again after waiting for a sufficient amount of time, since doing so would allow them to return home. Some rangers wanted to let it all go. Others had taken the veterinarian's advice to heart and understood that the lion would undoubtedly perish if it were to be released at this time. Fortunately for the lion and the veterinarian, this group was by far the majority. They had to keep moving in order to continue obstructing the lion's path because they could not completely enclose the animal. The animal was clearly becoming agitated by this, so the rangers needed to exercise caution. Even in poor condition, a lion this size could easily execute one of them if it got its hands on them. The rangers were aware that they needed to have mutual trust. Even those who wanted to let the lion run free contributed to the team effort. The lion was still lying in the same spot where the rangers had kept him. When the veterinarian eventually arrived at the scene, however, it became increasingly clear that this would not last for very long, because the lion had turned out to be very aggressive by this point. The lion charged the rangers who were still in their jeeps, despite the fact that they did not even want to get out of the vehicles they had placed there to contain the lion. Although many of the rangers had already experienced some close calls, the fear of the lion has now reached an all-time high. To avoid getting hurt, some rangers steered their jeeps away from the lion. The veterinarian knew she needed to act quickly, and that the lion's quick sedation was her only chance of saving the situation. But there were some threats involved in tranquilizing the lion. The veterinarian watched for the lion to turn his head in the opposite direction. She then slowly walked over to the lion and quickly gave it a sedative injection in the lower body. The lion eventually passed out completely due to exhaustion. A few rangers fell to their knees and their heart rates gradually returned to normal. They were relieved to have survived because they had already experienced several near-demise experiences. The large bulge on the lion that the vet had actually come for could now finally catch her eye. She exits the large jeep at the ranger's headquarters with the surgery child and prepares it for action. She made the choice to start with an ultrasound. She called the police as soon as she saw the ultrasound. The lion had swallowed something that was stuck in its body because the digestive system was unable to break it down. The bulge is cut out of the lion with the utmost care and accuracy, and after cutting through the skin, muscle, and esophagus, the bulge's origin is finally made clear to everyone. But it's not what they had anticipated. Inside the meat, there was something glowing. George told the officers that he had a feeling about what the small microchip that was embedded in the meat might be. He began by detailing his recent run-in with some sketchy characters in this area. He delivered the device to the officers after quickly running to his truck. When they recently caught someone else with a device that was nearly identical, one officer recognized it right away. The veterinarian immediately began stitching up the lion again after removing the chip. As she does this, she checks to see if the lion is experiencing any other problems. But he appeared healthy, and she believes he will soon get back in shape. The lion doesn't wake up for a few minutes. At first it is still confused and dazed, but eventually it starts walking away much more quickly than it did before the operation. She expressed her gratitude to the rangers for their heroic efforts to protect both the lion and themselves. She then returned to the city where she has additional patients awaiting her. The vet performed one final action to ensure the lion's well-being. She made certain that George would keep her updated on the lion's whereabouts and would watch out for it on her behalf. The responsible poachers were apprehended thanks to the police. Actually, they were able to apprehend the entire group. The animals would once more be secure. Thank you for watching this amazing tale of a time. The lion who have asked a photographer for help. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel.